All right, y'all, so now we're gonna go ahead and get our patties made up. You wanna make sure in your shrimp, you add a little bit of cornstarch, just a tad bit. A little tiny bit of salt, and I mean just literally a little bit. And then a little drop of white sugar, very small amount, okay? And so this is best to do a few minutes before to allow it to adhere to the shrimp. And make sure that your shrimp are dry, okay? You don't want wet shrimp. I mean, you know, a little tiny bit of wetness is okay, but you don't want water in the bottom of your bowl. All right? So this technique right here is called velveting the shrimp. All right, so we're just gonna let that set for a few minutes and then I'll come back. All right, y'all, so the next thing you wanna do is go ahead and whisk your eggs. That's good right there. And then you're gonna go ahead and add in all of your ingredients. Now, some people, they like to blanch their vegetables first, like blanch the onions and the bean sprouts. I'm not doing that because the heat from the oil, between the heat from the oil and the heat that's gonna come from the sauce that goes on the patties, there's no reason to do all of that. So go ahead and add in your vegetables. I have some yellow onions, some green onion, and some bean sprouts. Go ahead and add that in, and then of course you're gonna add your shrimp, okay? And once you do that, just go ahead and mix it all together. And with your shrimp, you can leave the shrimp whole or you can chop them into smaller pieces. Smaller pieces, to me, works a little better, but I have a combination in here. So I have full-size shrimp and I have some that I chopped up as well. Now, if you're using small shrimp, then you don't need to cut anything because they're already small enough. All right, so this is what your mixture is gonna look like. You don't need to add any salt or anything like that in here because the salt from the soy sauce will be more than enough. The only thing you could add in here if you want is some garlic. I'm not gonna add garlic in here because I've already added garlic to the sauce that I'm gonna make. So this is literally all I'm gonna do. Could put some pepper in here, and I'm actually gonna see if I have any white. Do I have any white pepper? I don't know. I had some white pepper now. Do I still have any white pepper is the question. I sure do. So you can add that. You can add some white pepper. Ooh, that was a lot. It'll still be good. I didn't expect that to come out so fast. All right, so that's good enough right there. I'm gonna take my gloves off and I'm gonna heat up my oil and I'll come back. All right, y'all, so now our grease should be hot enough. I'm gonna go ahead and get started. I like to use a measuring cup to try to keep them all consistent. So let's start with our first one. You want to pour it in slowly so it doesn't spread out too thin. Take a quick look. And you're going to fry these until they're golden brown, okay? Doesn't take that long. It just depends on how hot your grease is. I'm actually going to turn mine down just a little bit. Like that one, that could have stayed, I could have waited another minute or so before I flip that one, but that's okay because I can always turn it back over again. I think I am going to turn my temperature back up. Again, guys, I'm kind of playing around with this induction burner. You have to get used to it because it cooks very different from the gas range. Let these cook a little longer so they can get nice and brown. All right, guys, I'm gonna flip these one more time. Pretty good. So this one is about ready to come out. I'm just gonna go ahead and pull this one out. Sit it over here on my tray for now. This one looks like it's probably about ready. And again, you're gonna do this as long as you want. Like, it depends on how brown you want it to be, okay? All right, now these should be about ready. Let's see. Yeah, that's good. That's nice and brown. Yep. Nice and brown. Okay, y'all, so right here in the middle of my video, I had a FaceTime coming through. A FaceTime video was coming through, and I had no idea that the mic did not pick back up. So I am going to go ahead and insert a little music here until the audio picks back up. Okay, so just be patient with me, y'all. Shrimp egg foo young, you get all kinds of shapes, but it don't matter because once that gravy goes on there, it's gonna still taste so good. I want that to be a little brown now. Oops. I'll go ahead and eat that. Shrimp egg foo young be so oh my god. When I say it just be so bomb, so good. You know, I wonder if it's just like a DMV thing. Was it only in DC that the mothers ate egg foo young? Because I definitely remember my mother eating egg foo young all the time. I don't know. All right, let's go ahead and flip this last bad boy. Here we go. Last one. And we're done. that off. Run my hands off here. All right, and let's go ahead and pull this last one out. See that patty? Wow. All right, so we're gonna let this cool down a little bit. And I'm gonna use a different pan to make the sauce. So I'm gonna just take this off and let it cool over on my stove. I'll be back. All right, these are patties. And we're gonna let these sit for a minute while I make our sauce real quick. But yeah, they look good, nice and golden, plenty of shrimp in there. These are gonna be so good. All right, y'all, so now we're gonna go ahead and make our gravy for the Egg Foo Young, First thing I'm gonna do is take some butter. Then I'm gonna take some of the drippings from the patties that we made. Start with that. Sorry guys, I'm dropping stuff over here. This is gonna make us a roux. All right, so I'm gonna add a little bit of flour in here. I'm gonna brown this a little bit. Just want to cook your flour a little bit. You don't want a bunch of lumps in it, so just keep stirring. Okay, then you can go ahead and add in some onions. Big piece of onion right there, but it's all good. Okay. Next, you can go ahead and add in your chicken stock. Stir this up a little bit. If you have a whisk, you can use it. Look at that. All right, and so to your chicken stock, you're going to add in some oyster sauce. My camera went out. So we have chicken stock. Well, the first thing we did, because I don't know if it picked up my sound, but we made a roux with just some butter, a little bit of the oil that was left over from the patties that we fried, some flour, some onions, dark soy sauce, oyster sauce, and some Chinese cooking wine. And we're just going to mix all of that together. The dark soy sauce and the oyster sauce is going to give us the nice brown, rich brown color. And if you want it darker, you can add a little bit more of the dark soy. But as you let it cook, it'll darken up some in color. So at this point, we're just going to let it come to a boil. Let that boil for about 10 minutes or so, and then we'll add in our cornstarch slurry. Moving way too fast, guys. I forgot to add my sesame oil. I'm going to add a little bit of that in there, and then also a tad bit of brown sugar. So give me a minute. A very little bit, just about that much. I'm just gonna stir it all together, and like I said, just let this boil or simmer for about maybe 10 minutes or so. Should be long enough. Clearly, it has been a long work day. Forgot about my garlic, y'all. I had garlic. Add a little bit of that in there. Just stir it in, and then yeah, stir it in. Okay, now let this go for about 10 minutes. Okay, so at this point we can go ahead and add in our cornstarch slurry. This is just going to thicken up our gravy. Starting over here mixing it up now. All right. Go. You see how that thickened up for us here? Should be able to coat the spatula or spoon. If you want it a little thicker, you can let it cook a little bit longer. And if it's still not thick as you want, add some more of the cornstarch slurry. But this will be enough because as it sits, it's going to thicken some more. Like once you cut the heat off. So that's enough. In my opinion, this will be thick enough. I'm not going to add any more to that, but I do want you guys to see. Does this help? Oh, I want to spill it. So that's our gravy. You can kind of see the thickness. All right, guys. So I'm gonna let this cook maybe another 2 or 3 minutes, and then I'll come back in and add the patties. So I just decided to take the camera off the stand a minute so I can get a little bit closer. And so this is our gravy. Have some onions in here, and the heat is going to soften these onions even more. So I'm just going to let this sit. I was going to go ahead and add the patties to the gravy, but I'm not, because my mom, she's not going to get this until tomorrow, and so no use in letting it sit in the sauce all night. She can pour it on there tomorrow when she's ready. Yep. So that's a good consistency for me. All right, now I'm going to put some gravy on here. All right. Y'all see that? And then I gotta have some scallions on top. A little bit more. There we go. All right, and that's our shrimp egg foo young with some good old fried rice.